Dražen Petrović wasn't just a basketball player. He was an artist with a ball, earning the nickname Mozart of the game. By the time he was 18, he was leading underdog teams to championships with last-second heroics. At 24, he dominated Europe, scoring 62 points in a single final. But when he left it all behind for the NBA, a league that doubted European players, he showed the world what greatness really looked like. How did a kid from a small Croatian town rise to become one of the most legendary and fearless players in basketball history? Dražen Petrović was born on October 22, 1964, in the beautiful coastal town of Šibenik, Croatia. From the start, it seemed like basketball was his destiny. He grew up in a modest household with his older brother Aleksandar, who played a huge role in shaping Dražen's future. Aleksandar, known as Ako, was a skilled basketball player himself and later became a coach. Watching his brother play and train sparked something in young Dražen. He wanted to be just like Ako, maybe even better. By the time Dražen was 10 years old, basketball had become his everything. It wasn't just a hobby, it was an obsession. He would spend hours every day shooting hoops, sometimes before the sun was even up. Imagine a little boy dragging himself out of bed before school just to practice jump shots. It's almost hard to believe, but that was Dražen. His work ethic was insane. He didn't stop at shooting before school. After classes, he'd head straight to practice with Šibenka, the local basketball team in his hometown. But even when practice was over, Dražen wasn't done. While his teammates went home, he stayed behind, shooting jumpers and refining his skills until late in the evening. He was in the gym so often that the coaches began to notice something special about him. His dedication wasn't just about putting in the hours, it was about how he carried himself. Even as a young teenager, Dražen had this energy, a kind of charisma, that drew people to him. His coaches believed in him, and at just 15 years old, they promoted him to the senior team. By the time Dražen turned 18, he wasn't just a promising young talent, he was already one of the best players in Yugoslavia. This was during a time when the Yugoslavian Basketball League was considered the strongest in Europe. His team, Šibenka, was far from a powerhouse. They had the smallest budget in the league and the youngest roster, but they had Dražen, and sometimes one player can change everything. In the 1982-83 season, Šibenka became the ultimate Cinderella story. With Dražen leading the charge, this underdog team made it all the way to the Yugoslavian League finals, and here's where things get legendary. On the night of his high school prom, while his classmates were dancing and celebrating, Dražen was on the court, playing in the deciding game of the finals. Šibenka was down by 1 point with just 2 seconds left. Most players would have crumbled under the pressure. Not Dražen. He stepped to the free throw line and calmly sank both shots, securing the championship for his team. That moment wasn't just a victory, it was the beginning of the legend of Dražen Petrović. After that, Dražen's star kept rising. He moved to Cibona Zagreb, the biggest basketball club in Croatia, and immediately started rewriting history. In his first season, he led Cibona to the league title, the cup championship, and the EuroLeague crown. He wasn't just winning, he was dominating. He averaged more than 25 points per game, putting up performances that had fans and scouts in awe. But Dražen wasn't one to rest on his laurels. The next season, he got even better. Cibona repeated as EuroLeague champions, this time defeating Žalgiris, a team led by future Hall of Famer Arvydas Sabonis. Dražen's brilliance on the court was undeniable. He was quick, sharp, and unstoppable. By the time he left Cibona, he had already won 8 major trophies and cemented his place as the best player in Europe. In 1988, Dražen decided to take his talents to Spain, signing with Real Madrid, the richest basketball club in Europe at the time. The deal made headlines. It was the first $1 million contract in European basketball history. Real Madrid didn't regret a single penny. Dražen lit up the court in Spain, breaking records and delivering jaw-dropping performances. In the Spanish Cup finals, Dražen scored 42 points, a record that still stands. But his most unforgettable performance came in the European Cup winners' Cup final, where he dropped an unbelievable 62 points to lead Real Madrid to victory. Think about that, 62 points in a single game. It's the kind of performance you'd expect from a video game, not real life. By the time Dražen left Real Madrid, he had achieved everything a player could dream of in Europe. He was only 24 years old, but had already dominated every level of European basketball. At this point, Dražen knew it was time for a new challenge. His competitive drive was insatiable, and he wanted to test himself against the best players in the world. That decision would lead him to the NBA and a whole new chapter in his incredible journey. When Dražen Petrović decided to leave behind his incredible career in Europe to join the Portland Trail Blazers in 1989, it was a bold and risky move. At the time, Dražen was already a superstar in European basketball. He had won everything there was to win: league titles, EuroLeague championships, and personal accolades. He was a king in Europe, a player adored by fans and feared by opponents. But Dražen wasn't satisfied. He wanted to prove that he could compete with the best players in the world, the NBA players. Back then, the NBA wasn't exactly welcoming to European players. There was a lot of skepticism about whether they could handle the physicality and speed of the league. Europeans were often labeled as soft or less skilled compared to their American counterparts. Dražen, though, wasn't one to back down from a challenge. He wanted to show everyone that European players could not only hold their own in the NBA, but thrive. Dražen's arrival in the NBA was far from glamorous. With the Portland Trail Blazers, he found himself buried on the bench, struggling to get minutes on a team loaded with talent. This was a new and frustrating experience for someone who was used to being the star of every team he played for. He averaged just 12 minutes a game in his rookie season, despite shooting an impressive 46% from beyond the arc. Dražen later admitted that he questioned his decision to leave Europe during those tough times. He wasn't used to being treated like a role player, and the adjustment to the NBA's physical style of play was challenging. But if there's one thing we know about Dražen, it's that he never gave up. He spent hours in the gym, not just working on his shooting, but also building his body to handle the demands of the league. He was determined to prove himself. Dražen's big break came in 1991 when he was traded to the New Jersey Nets. It was like a fresh start, and Dražen grabbed the opportunity with both hands. With the Nets, he finally got the playing time he deserved, and it didn't take long for him to show the world what he was capable of. In his first full season with the Nets, Dražen became a starter and transformed into one of the best shooting guards in the league. He averaged over 20 points per game on remarkable efficiency, shooting 51% from the field and 44% from three-point range. Fans loved him for his fearless playing style and incredible shooting. He was relentless on the court, never backing down from anyone, not even the biggest NBA stars like Michael Jordan. Dražen's performances earned him a spot on the All-NBA third team, making him one of the first European players to receive such recognition. More importantly, he proved that European players could dominate in the NBA. His success opened the door for others like Dirk Nowitzki, Pau Gasol, and Luka Doncic, who have followed in his footsteps. Just as Dražen was reaching the peak of his career, tragedy struck. On June 7, 1993, while returning to Croatia after playing in a European qualifying game, Dražen was involved in a fatal car accident on a German motorway. He was asleep in the passenger seat when the car collided with a truck. Dražen Petrović was just 28 years old. The news of his death sent shockwaves through the basketball world. Fans, teammates, and players from around the globe mourned the loss of a man who wasn't just an incredible player, but also an inspiration. In Croatia, Dražen was more than a basketball star. He was a national hero, a symbol of hope during a turbulent time in the country's history. Dražen's impact goes far beyond his numbers on the court. He proved that European players could excel in the NBA and paved the way for countless others to follow. His confidence, work ethic, and fearless approach to the game continue to inspire players around the world. Even today, when you watch players like Luka Doncic or Giannis Antetokounmpo, you can see a little bit of Dražen in their game. Though his life was tragically short, Dražen Petrovic's legacy is eternal. He truly was the Mozart of basketball, a genius whose music will never fade. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.